But still, I am welcoming love in all facets, leaps and bounds. Thank you very much.
You know it. You know it. Yeah.
Now we know. I mean,
Yeah.
the only way you can learn is through mistakes.
Exactly. The operator is outside.
I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Exactly.
Never seen that anywhere else.
Again, only at the podcast office.
Only at the podcast office.
I'm sorry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Dubai Diastories under Y.K.T.V. You know the vibes. I am so excited about this episode because I think officially this is our first annual general meeting. I'm about to introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who has been my rock and my fortress through this podcasting journey, has wiped my tears, has celebrated my wins, has fought with me for being late and made me more punctual. Like, he puts me in check and he puts me in place. I couldn't have done this journey without him, and I'm just so grateful. And episode 10 is a major milestone because upward onwards, it's double digits only. Hey!
You know it.
My one and only manager, producer, owner of Podcast Office is in the building, Mr. Zion!
Look at you hyping me up.
Drum rolls. You deserve all the hype, man.
Thank you so much,
I
Yvette.
couldn't have done this without you. Know, when I was driving and I was coming here and I was just like, if someone had shown me a crystal ball 10 weeks ago and told me this would be us, I would have not believed it.
Me neither.
Considering the ups and the downs, the vibes have just been top tier. Like, you get me, Zayad, and I appreciate you for that.
Of course.
I have a lot of flaws, I know.
No.
For all the times I've been late to my sessions. I apologize. But even when I've gone through self-doubt, I've had scheduling issues with guests and a couple of other issues that we're going to delve into, you've always just come through for me. And I want to take this moment to just say thank you.
Oh, no worries, Yvette. No
Thank
worries.
you, thank you, thank you.
Of course.
It's upwards, onwards from here.
You know it.
All grease, no breaks. Yes.
It's just, oof.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fantabulous, to say the least. I had a very, very epic Sunday. I was in the presence of greatness, if I say the least. I met like one of the biggest, I don't even think if influencer is the right word for her. I would say she's a brand.
Wow. Okay.
And she's well known in the financial space just for educating and empowering people on making better financial decisions in life. And when I sat down with her yesterday, you know how you have that self-doubt because you're like, am I still waiting for a big break? Has it already happened and I don't know? Like, baby steps, yes. Should I give up now? Is it ever going to get there? And she just looked at me and we were evaluating my journey and my content and what I do. And she was asking me what my strategy is, so on and so forth. And she's like, sis, you have it all together. The only thing that I can tell you right now is, are you ready when the big break happens? Are you ready?
Yep.
For what it comes with? And that question has just been boggling my mind like since last night. And man, I've never felt like I'm living my truth like how I feel right now. There's so many other facets of my life that are falling apart, but every time I come here, it's like I come for spiritual renewal. It's like I come to tap into energy from the fountain, from the oasis in the desert.
Yeah.
And like, whenever I leave from here, I am just vibey. Like, I feel I am connected to my source and I am living in my truth. And you are a major ingredient in that journey. So once again, there's going to be a lot of thanks in this episode, so get used to it.
No worries, Yvette. No worries. No, it's something that I can relate to as well because, and this I've mentioned this a couple of times to the people I work with, my team as well, how a lot of the times when it comes to podcasting, only a few people can really say, okay, I enjoy doing it. This brings me peace and, you know, and forward on. A lot of the times people come and just do content, which is normal, right?
Yeah.
But I've always mentioned that with you, Yvette, you do this purely out of just enjoying and just enjoying the fact of speaking to people, hearing stories, understanding, connecting, the full from start to finish, you're one of the few people I've ever met that, apart from myself, when I did this back before even launching this.
Okay.
So I understand when I see you, Yvette, when you enter the studio and you record, I can just imagine
Aw.
myself when I was opening this up and seeing the hunger I had for podcasting. So this is why I support all the way.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I remember the one time when Majd, who was behind the scenes, one day you'll get to see him, and he was like, it's fascinating how you're like one of the few podcasters that I've worked with who doesn't stop or say, give me a break or let me scratch that. Like, you just talk from beginning to end, and he rarely has to edit. Like,
Yeah.
for me, that was one of the, when he said that to me, that's when it just like fueled my fire, and I was like, this cannot be a mistake.
Yeah.
There's definitely nothing wrong with what I'm doing. Like, this is where I am meant to be. In the words of Banner Boy, I'd like to thank me because I know who the fuck I am.
Yep.
Excuse my French.
100%, yeah.
I want to dig a little bit deep into your journey before we get to the intersection where we met. You've mentioned like when you started podcasting. Why podcasting?
It's a funny story. Initially, I had a summer break.
Okay.
And this was before I was entering my final year in high school.
Okay.
It was a couple, like me and two of my other friends.
Okay.
And luckily, one of my friends has like a, you know, as we say, mashallah.
Mashallah.
He has a very nice house.
Okay.
And he had a room, and his brother had a podcast setup done.
Like the roadcaster and everything.
It was kind of just below that a tiny bit, but his
Okay.
brother was into it.
Okay.
So we just looked at each other. I knew what podcasting was. So we looked at each other and said, okay, how about we start one of our own? And at that time, both of us agreed that because podcasting at that time was not a big thing yet here in Dubai.
What year are we talking about here?
You're talking about 2021, late 2021,
Okay.
entering 2022.
Okay.
So it wasn't that big yet.
Okay.
We looked at each other and knew, okay, we might be made fun of because being on social media as a teenager, and this is about
Oh my God, you just ruined it for me. I was going to ask people to guess what age you are. But anyways, hold that thought. We
Yes.
will reveal the number at the end of this episode. Stay tuned.
yeah. Okay, apologies.
It's okay.
Yes, it's a very funny story. We created one, and the name of the podcast was Low Budget. That was the name of the podcast.
Why low budget?
Because the microphones were decent, okay? We had a decent mixer, but the camera we were using
Oh my God,
was
speak on it.
my phone.
You were using your phone?
My phone is a camera.
So you were only capturing one angle?
That's it. And it would be coming down. And for anyone that wants to check it out, I haven't removed anything because I love seeing progress.
Correct.
For me, that's how I look back and I say, okay, this is where I started. And
We say in my culture, you start from the biningi ningi. From
Ye-
the biningi ningi. Yes.
so I keep it all on YouTube, and I even go back and I look at it sometimes and be like, so this is where the hunger for me started. Check it out. It's Low Budget, LOWBDGT,
Okay, without the U.
without the U because the characters were
Of
full.
course.
Yeah, and that's it. We did that a couple of times. We had good guests on. It was fun. We enjoyed doing it. No editing was needed because everything we did was live. So everything was live on YouTube.
Was live?
On YouTube, yes.
So you would just do on YouTube live and you would talk through your camera on
Yep.
your phone?
on the phone.
Wow, that is bold. I haven't done a live podcast
It was
yet.
live. I love doing a live podcast. For me, we'll get into that later, but I have
Okay.
a bigger goal in mind.
Okay.
So yeah, it was all live.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. We would just press start live show and
And
then
you talk.
hello guys, welcome back, and it would go for an hour, 2, 3, and it would be fun.
Nice.
Unfortunately, that ended.
Is it because you guys end up in different parts of the world?
Yes.
Or as usual, standard Dubai, like, it's the most heartbreaking. That's why I'm scared to fall in love here.
Yeah.
Because someone just like, oh, wow, I love you, but guess what? I'm moving tomorrow. So you're coming or you're staying?
Yes, one of the two.
It's one of the two. Like, you're constantly making life-changing decisions. And I'm like, yo, I love stability,
Yeah.
you know? So are we in it to win it, or is this just a temporary destination for
Exactly.
you? But still, I am welcoming love in all facets, leaps and bounds. Thank you very much.
You know it. You know it. Yeah.
So cool. So low budget, people traveled and everything. So how did we end up with the podcast office?
With the podcast office. I was studying abroad.
Okay.
I was in Canada,
Okay.
Vancouver. I did a semester over there abroad. It was nice. It was a nice experience for me. I went through the setbacks, stuff that would teach me a lesson in life.
Okay.
Depending on myself,
Okay.
being able to take care of myself in
Was it the
public.
first time you were away from home?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
all on my own. No family member, no nothing.
New culture, new food, new rules, new weather.
Everything.
Jeez, that's bold.
Yeah, and of course it was my father's plan to begin with.
Okay.
He wanted me to become independent. Know how to-
Shout out Baba.
Yes, shout out the big man himself. He wanted me to become a man.
Okay.
That's it. I went there for a semester, went through all the problems, this. But then it came to a point where I would sleep at night knowing that I'm not doing what. Like there would be a hunger in me, and studying there and with the idea of having to be there for 5 years, not doing anything, not getting my hands dirty, kind of got to my head.
So you have this serial entrepreneur itch in
Yeah.
you. And it's the bug has caught you when you're so young, Zayad. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know it was bad. Like I would have sleepless nights on it, and it would be especially those nights where it wasn't even the nights where it would be stressful. Like, oh no, this is too stressful for me. I want to go back. It would be where I have nothing. I'm sitting alone, and it would be like, how long am I gonna be doing this before I can? Like, come on, put in the work for a
some
tiny
grit,
bit. Yes,
some effort.
Yeah,
You need something to keep your blood pumping.
exactly.
I feel
That's
you.
it. That's it.
I
So I
feel you.
called Baba and I told him, I have a vision. I want to achieve this. I want to do that. I'm willing to put in the effort. Of course, it was a long back and forth. He's Middle Eastern.
Oh gosh. Stay in school.
Yeah.
You've gone there, you've settled. Now you're telling me what vision? The vision can come in 5 years.
Yeah, he
Yani.
was. But one thing that I have to say that was different with my father was he understood that. He himself actually grew up working and studying at the same time. But it was just over this time where studying became important. But then he kind of realized, like,
Times have changed.
Yes, times have changed.
Yeah.
Why not let my son grow up the same way I grew up?
Makes sense. And well, speaking of that, I feel like back in the day, it was like you acquire knowledge and then you go into the workforce. And you probably even only use like maximum 30% of the knowledge that you acquired because it was all trash,
Yeah.
right? But now I feel like we've gotten to that stage of you acquire skills when you need them.
Yeah.
Like I'm a salesperson. I've done sales for the last 15 years. Podcasting was a new phenomena that initially this was something that I was supposed to start with my ex-boyfriend, by the way.
Okay.
But then that didn't work out. And then I just started listening to podcasts and I had a very deep fascination for it because I think the emergence of content creation started with YouTube. But back in the day, it was all glitz and glam.
Yeah.
I used to call it performative content.
100%.
Like, oh, wake up with me. I'm going to shop, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, wow.
I bought 4 new cars.
Thank you. These are the new shoes, bags. This.
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot do that performative content. I need something that speaks to my mind, my heart, and gives me something to do because I'm someone who, and I think everyone has heard me say it on the podcast, if you're not educating me, empowering me, or entertaining me, I can't keep focus. I have major ADD, so I'll just switch off immediately. So as I was doing my research, step by step, I started with an audio podcast. And I learned how to edit. So you see, if I'd done a media course in the early 2010s, if I'd gotten a degree, podcasting was still not a phenomena.
Yeah.
So they would have never empowered me with the skills then to be able to fulfill my dream now.
100%.
So I understand, like, I appreciate Baba, shout out to you again, for being very open-minded and realizing that there's been an evolution in the education system where you don't have to slave yourself through school to get skills that you don't need. You can acquire those skills need be as you grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I love him for it because when the talk was happening and I was telling him what I had in mind.
I like that you called it the talk.
Yes, for me it was crucial, and I made sure to do it after I completed 1 full semester.
Good.
To tell him that
I've tried.
Not even after. If I wanted to, for me, education is not as hard. For me, like
You're smarty pants.
yes, if I need to study, I'll study. But it's what can I do? Like I can study and I do something else. Why not do it?
Okay, nice.
I have a lot of time on my hands. I don't need to spend 9 hours a day just completely studying. And I knew that.
Do you feel like that itch came from the fact that you've probably seen or you heard of Baba telling you stories about that? So innately, it grew in you that you can do both.
Yeah. For me, Baba, as you say, he's a role model for me.
Amazing.
He started young, and he would tell me stories when he started to work, and alhamdulillah, thank God, he made a name for himself. And
Amazing.
He has a business that I look up to him for it.
Amazing.
For me, like I have I have a large road that I need to kind of follow in.
And you have time, son.
Yes.
You
and
have time.
So for me, I'm happy that I got the age young because at the time I'm in, I have my father to support me if I made a mistake, if I did this wrong, that wrong. At the same time, I'm at the point in my life where if I can take risks.
Good.
So if I need to take a risk to kind of reach the point that I'm in, to make my parents both happy and let them enjoy life while I'm an adult, I'm gonna take these risks to make sure I do.
I love that. That is so profound.
Yeah. So right back to the podcast office.
Oh,
How
yes.
it started. We were going. I don't know where we
You
were
know,
going.
me and you, we start in one direction, we end up on the opposite side.
Exactly. Podcast office.
Yes.
I came back.
Okay.
Podcasting was, while I was coming back, it was starting to become something. Every huge influencer started a podcast, and it was big. I remembered I was like, okay, I have the knowledge that I do when I started podcasting as a hobby.
Correct.
I mentioned to him the idea. He was with it. So we saw this office and we saw this room right here. I entered it. I knew, okay, so I'm gonna put the couch here. Put the couch here.
Really? Was it empty or was it another business at that time?
No. It was empty, completely empty.
Okay.
And I saw this room and I thought, okay, I think this is gonna be the first studio I'm gonna build.
Amazing.
So
Keyword right there. Keyword. First studio.
exactly.
Pioneer studio.
It's just the first.
Just the first.
Just
I
the
like
first,
that.
yeah. And I kind of just visioned it, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need. This is what I need. This is this. Step by step, got there, got the studio up and running,
Okay.
and that's it. We have the
And
podcast
here we
office.
are. I love the way it says established 2023 on your logo. That in itself, it gives me, like, you know, those legacy brands that you normally see from back in the day, and they're like EST, and then there's the date.
1990,
yeah,
yeah.
then like in 50, 60 years, it's a case study in Harvard, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, 2023, where was I?
Yeah, that's why for me, I love to see progress. I love it. So if you're gonna tell me to put something just so I can remember this point, that's why I keep the old podcast on.
Okay.
That's why I keep old clips on my personal branding page on. I love to see progress, and that's, for me, it just shows kind of the way that I'm moving upwards.
True.
Regardless, if I feel like I'm not moving, I just go on some page or something and I just see how far I've gone, and I kind of just calm myself down a tiny bit, pushes me even more, boosts my motivation. Podcast office was built, everything was established, got our clients here and there, and then Yvette gave a call, and then I called back.
Yeah.
Here we are.
It was so funny. And I think Toxic said this about me. Like, I am a person who operates on vibes a lot. And it's the way you said my name when you called me back. It's like you knew who I was. Because, of course, technically, I saw an ad. I was evaluating a couple of options. First of all, the podcasting journey. I cannot start without paying homage to one of my favorite content creators and storyteller. He's like an enigma when it comes to storytelling in East Africa. His name is Abel Mutua. I'll show you his page after this. So he has different segments on his story where he tells stories. Basically, if I'll tell him my story, he'll narrate it to inspire, to educate, or to entertain.
Wow, okay.
So he has one segment in his channel called Kurugenzi Diastories. So when I was watching it, that's when the name came to me, and I was like, Diastories, diaspora stories. Interesting. And I am kind of like fixated on things that have a nice ring to them. I like rhymes and jingles. So I always like there to be like a flow into everything. And I was like, at the end of the day, even if we start a hashtag double Ds, you know what double Ds are, sorry. So I was like, it'll have a nice swing to it. So I reached out to him and I was like, I need your blessing because I'm about to steal one of your names. He's like, really? He's like, perfect timing. You reached out to me. I'll actually be in Dubai in like 2 weeks. Why don't we just catch up and have a cup of coffee? And that's exactly what happened. I met him with his wife and they really, really motivated me. And they were like, Yvette, you actually have star quality. I don't understand why you don't see it for yourself. By this time, I'd already started a podcast in 2020, which was audio only. And he said one thing to me that really rang true and deep. And he said, Yvette, unless you invest and spend money and feel that pinch coming out of your pocket. See, I almost said podcast.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Like it's in my blood, in my veins. It's like, unless you invest and spend that money and like literally plant a seed of faith by investing in yourself, you'll always keep starting and falling, starting and falling. When you pay for something and acquire that service, it will hold you accountable to be able to commit and do it rigorously. And then it will also make you feel like you'll monitor your progress more efficiently, because you'll be like, for the amount I'm spending, what am I getting in return?
That's
and
true.
once you start to feel the vibe, the universe will reward you, because you'll know that you're putting your heart and soul into this. So I was scrolling. You know how sometimes you're just like, I started talking to some of my friends. Marcus, I mentioned it to Marcus. I mentioned it to Momo, who's like my childhood friend.
Yeah.
That's my generational friend. And I've been seeing it a long time. So I think even because I was saying podcast a lot, all the ads on my Instagram,
started popping up.
all of them. First studio I called, I was like, okay, I'm working in Business Bay. This one is in Business Bay. This will be a quick fix. Let me sort this out. Let me call them. They never called me back. They called me like after our second episode.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second podcast that I reached, I did a recording with them, but it felt too commercial for me. I felt like I'm just there to push time. And when my time goes, I'm done. There was no connection. There was no depth. And then I stumbled on the podcast office. First of all, the lighting and the background, I was like, I like, because, in African culture, we're very colorful, we're very vibrant. And I was like, with the other settings, they had very overdone backgrounds, and it will swallow my glam.
Yeah.
Like, part of the podcast is the flair.
It's the
and
glam.
style. It's the glam.
Yeah, it's the glam.
So when I saw the dark background, I was like, this will allow me to pop and stand out. Then I just filled the form, and then I called you. When I called you, I had to cut the phone because I was doing something at work.
Yeah.
Then later that evening, you called me and you just said, Yvette. It's like you had known me for years. It's like, it wasn't like, hello, is this Yvette? It was Yvette. And I was like, who is this? For a second before, I'm like, oh my God, who is this? Like, is this someone I know? And then we just went into a conversation, and you asked me the right questions and everything. And you were like, why don't we book some studio time for you to come and check out the place? And if you like it, let's do this. And there was something in your voice, in your energy, and the way you talked to me. And I remember I was just about to take the HESA bridge to come into JVC, and there was traffic. So I was paused in traffic at some point, and immediately after our call, my phone died. And I was just holding the steering wheel of the car, and I'm not going to lie to you, Zad. It's like I felt something overcome me. It was like, we're doing this.
That's it.
And then I came here with Momo, and we loved the space and the reception and the team. And then the first episode was just so flawless. Like, I hope we can insert some clips. Like, one thing I love about this studio is the fact that Majd is outside. I can't see him. Please, I hope we can insert some clips just to show them what goes around behind the scenes. Because in other studios, sometimes, like when you see the producer moving here, adjusting this, it really interrupts my chain of thoughts.
Only at the podcast office.
Only at the podcast office.
Marketing 101, you know it.
Plug yourself shamelessly. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So after the first episode, like I went home. No, we went out with Momo, and there was this energy that was just bursting through me. And it's been 10 weeks, and here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. Who knew?
Who knew? It was a very long road. My I don't know. It was weird. I think it was. I'm a good salesman.
Oh, excellent salesman. What? By the time we drop his age at the end of this podcast, you people are going to be regretting your whole lives. You will want to ask for a time machine to travel back. Yeah. But anyways, we'll get to that.
Yeah, towards the end of the episode.
Towards the end of and we'll give them in a mathematic find X.
Find
I
X.
already have the question in my head.
Done. Yeah, it was kind of like while I'm calling, people are calling me. I'm calling them back like podcasting. I'm not calling someone and something I don't believe in. I built the studio with my own hands. Every single bit, the wiring, the cameras, the lights, I got them, I set them up. Only thing, soundproofing. Of course, that I can't
professional,
do.
yeah.
Other than that, everything was done by me.
It's a labor of love.
Exactly. So when I'm putting it in, I'm like, if people are coming to use the studio, I'm going to show them love. So when I call back each and every person, I am 100% convinced in my own service and my own product. So when I'm calling them back, I am as confident as a man can be. So I call back, excitement, look, come, book, no problem. You want to check it out, no problem.
Yeah.
Everything is there.
Yeah.
Comparable to any other studio. But guess what? We have a special factor.
Max.
The operator is outside.
I haven't seen that anywhere else.
Exactly.
Never seen that anywhere else.
Again, only at the podcast office.
Only at the podcast office.
I'm sorry. Shouting
That's
it.
going to be like the tagline in everything we
Yes.
say.
So I'm when I gave you a call back, it was just that part of me where I'm 100% confident.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I do. I am confident in my service. I gave a call back, and it was just that conversation. I knew
Yeah.
Yvette is going to become a regular.
Yep.
And-
And it's been nothing but joy. We have had some interesting stumbling blocks
Yeah.
along the way. So for context, episode 1, I think, dropped on the 11th of August. And I was all fired up, blah, blah, blah. We worked on a plan and I'm like, no, Zed, I don't want to pay per episode because you're like, well, Yvette, whatever you're comfortable with, just go with the flow. We'll work on a plan. Just let me know what your preferred dates are so that we know we can schedule it accordingly. We don't double book and everything. By the way, your organization is very top tier.
Thank
and
you.
I like how you go on the website, you can choose your slot and everything, and you come and you know you're going to have your time.
Yeah.
So episode 1 was great. That was easing me into the process because I had never done audiovisual podcast before.
Okay.
I'd only done audio. And the reason why I had to partner with you, Zayad, is because I was thinking that I want to be a one-man show, like I'll record. I have a camera. I have everything. I have the roadcaster. I have 4 mics. But I knew if I commit to doing it on my own, I will never edit. I just want to be that kind of creative of like, okay, yeah, fine. 1 million followers. Does Hollywood call us or do we call them? But I don't want to handle the call.
I love the vibe. Yes.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that if I take this burden off my hands and also knowing that there's no I in team, no man is an island, I knew this collaborative process is what will elevate me to the next level that I desire and help me achieve my dreams. Episode 1 was flawless. Of course, sat down with Momo. She's my generational friend. I call her my mom's inheritance friend because her mom and my mom were really, really good friends.
Wow.
And then she was a single mom as well. And then we were kids, so we all ended up just...
Yeah.
In fact, in an African setting, we would call each other cousins because we grew up together.
Yeah.
And that was just us bantering and catching up on life. She had gone through a couple of monumental changes in her life. I had gone through a couple. So it was just us catching up because we talk every day sending each other memes like typical millennials.
Yeah.
But then when we have that one long call for conversation, it's normally like, okay, where did we leave last time? Let's pick it up from there. And we're like, why don't we just do this in a podcast setting? And you guys brought it to life like magic. So thank you so much. The clips were so eccentric. Probably some of my highest performing reels, honestly speaking.
Really?
You can look at the numbers. And then after that, we had FMG, which was also a very big learning experience for us. I think one thing that I've learned about this collaborative process of podcasting is it just assured me that this is exactly what I'm meant to do. Because can you imagine how it is hard sitting in front of the camera for an hour plus with some people you know, some people you don't know. But even when you know them, they have different personalities. There are some people, once they see the camera, they panic. And that's, once again, we will say it, only at the podcast office.
Only at the podcast
you
office.
don't see
Yep.
what's happening. So that also helps us ease the tension with the guests a
100%.
lot.
Yeah.
You find them like a bit antsy in the beginning, but into 10 minutes, I'm just like, was this the same person who was twiddling their thumbs, shy and everything? So there was the episode with Fola, another high-performing reel. The wig stories were absolutely hilarious.
That was amazing.
And I appreciate the fact that also with you, you're always we also welcome trying. And with that particular episode, we tried to experiment with the lights.
With the lights. Didn't work too well.
Yeah, it didn't work too well, but now at least we know.
Now we know.
Now we know. I mean,
Yeah.
the only way you can learn is through mistakes.
Exactly.
So now we know. And then the most interesting thing, the next episode I come back, Zayad has even brought brighter lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
Yes.
just like, my G.
Yes. You know it. You know it now. You know it.
He knows how to bring out the melanin.
No, the lights for me is one of the biggest it's the biggest ifs for me because you can get the best cameras in the world, but if the lighting's not good,
Correct.
it's useless.
Sometimes my makeup looks like crap when I'm leaving the house, and then I come and I sit here and I'm like,
Yes.
no
it's the
filter,
lighting,
hello.
Yeah, I remember.
Hello.
I literally went and I got the biggest light there
You
was.
know, you went and got
Yes.
the biggest light, and I was just like, this, you know how sometimes you feel like we kind of had a tiff, and I'm like, how do we communicate this? But you received it with so much grace, and you're like, don't worry, Yvette, I got you. We came for episode 3 with Naz. Boof. I felt like I was doing a photo shoot for Vogue.
Yeah, no, it's for me when I take criticism, I take it in, yes. If they didn't like something, I take it in. The lighting was one thing you have mentioned.
Yeah.
Other clients have mentioned. I kind of did not take it and just shy away, say, oh, this is what we can do. But at the end of the day, we're still developing.
Work in progress.
The main goal from the minute I started this studio was I'm going to perfect this one. Make sure this is amazing. Then I move. Because then I don't want to move. If this one has flaws, I don't want to copy paste and move the same flaws in this one to the other one. Make this one perfect. The
Create
best
a
it can be.
masterpiece and then duplicate.
Exactly.
I love that.
This way, the rest is top notch. So
Correct.
this is why continuously you're going to see upgrades in the
Improvements.
studio. Yes. You're going to see improvements. You're going to see this before I go ahead and I build another one. That's all part of the constructive feedback. And
Correct.
I love it. That's the only way I learn. And from your tips and from
True.
other tips. So
True.
that's how I learn. And that's one thing I really like, Yvette, is that you, whatever you think needs improvement, you kind of mention it.
True.
You don't come back and you just say, this wasn't good.
No, I'm not that kind of person.
You know,
because
because then it kind of when you go around and you say this wasn't good and you just leave it at that, you kind
Yeah.
of just leave a blank space of
okay,
then
so
how-
what did we do wrong?
Yes, what did we do wrong? Because there are many things, especially in a studio, there are many things that can go wrong. The lights, the mic,
That's how I know you're gonna do very well in relationships, because like I just said, Ziad, and I said it like in passing. I was like, "Can I be honest?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course. Yvette, feel free." And I was honest with you. And then the next week I come in and I'm like, "Whoa, oh wow!" So for me, it's like you listen,
Yeah.
and then you respond. You don't react. Because reacting would be like, oh, nobody's complaining.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have 40,000 podcasts we are recording in every month.
Yeah.
Why are you the only one who's finding an issue? You responded and you were like, okay, let's look into this, and you can peep
Yeah.
the glow. Peep the glow.
Yeah, you know it.
It's the lighting,
You know
okay?
you know it. No, I take it.
Yeah.
I take it to heart, like in a good way, of course.
Yeah.
I write it down.
Yeah.
Make sure, study the matter, make sure it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit. A lot of people are saying that. That's the next improvement on the list. Then I keep going, see the other minor, small problem, fix
Yeah.
that, keep
Yeah.
going. It's for me, it's the step by step. Because the minute I feel like I'm stressing too far into the future is the minute I feel like I fall in a hole.
Facts.
So I kind of just take it step by step.
You're not a rubber band. Don't stretch too much. You'll just pop, you know?
100%. So yeah, this is why I take it step by step. The journey has been amazing.
Amazing. So now we're at episode 3, Amaka and Naz. Another amazing girl chat, just reflecting on. And I remember the day after Naz called me and she actually was like, I'm actually the shit. I said, why? She's like, no, just sitting down with you yesterday and reliving our conversation made me realize that when you're on the go, you don't take time to celebrate yourself because it's always like in motion,
Yes.
in motion. But when you sit down and you're being retrospective and you're looking back and you're like, in hindsight, wow, I've actually accomplished so much. Why do I diminish my own success? And you might know this, not know this, but I almost gave up in episode 3. You know a little part of the story?
Yes.
Yeah. There's no easier way to say this.
There is no. Yeah, it's.
I got fired.
Yep.
Yep. I guess you're podcasting full time.
Yeah, that's it.
I got fired from my previous job, and I remember calling you and I was crying because like immediately it happened. You just texted me. It was on a Friday and you texted me like, oh, Yvette, just confirming for tomorrow's episode. And I was like, Zad, I don't know what to do. I just got fired. And you called me and you were like, Yvette, this is not the time to slow down. This is probably you just being redirected. Like you literally gave me, it made me feel like, you know, when you're watching basketball games and when they're having the huddle, like the motivational game before they go, the speech before they go in, that's exactly how it felt. So the next day I called Naz And I was still in two minds because now, immediately you get fired. You're like, I need to be frugal to
Yeah.
manage my expenses. And I'm alone in this city. It's not like I'm living with my husband who's catering to all my bills and like, this is my passion project because I'm a bored housewife. No, this is like my passion project. And I remember sitting down with her and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. It's just better off to give up now, blah, blah, blah. And we were crying and we had wine and she was crying and she was just like, Yvette, we are not giving up.
Yeah.
We move. And we had a couple of roadblocks, but you were extremely supportive. Zayad. When I count my blessings, I count you twice.
Thank you, Yvette.
You know why. I don't have to say them on this podcast.
Yeah.
You know why. That's
No,
the
of
most
course.
important thing.
Of course.
And I'm forever grateful. And that's how we came and recorded episode 3. And if you watch episode 3, you'll actually notice that my eyes are extremely red from the excessive crying and, of course, the wine.
It's part of the equation.
It is part of the equation, but that's what makes the story even much more sweeter. And then episode 4. Oh, my goodness. This one, Eric.
Oh, Eric.
Oh,
that was the hit. I think that's where
now I knew what it feels like to actually like get a mini explosion.
Yeah.
Because the conversion, that's probably the video with the highest views right now. And his story is just so inspirational. And I think we were even more blessed because we got a double blessing. He was here with his mom. So we were able to sit and just like listen from his mom's perspective, and then from his perspective, his journey, absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's good.
And those reels, Maj, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Salute, you killed it with the reels.
Yeah, I remember that time. I knew about the episode. I watched the full movie.
Yes.
So when you said you wanted something, I just told, hey, Majid, listen. Do your magic. And
yes.
He's like, okay.
No problem. Creative carte blanche. And that's another thing also, like as much as, sometimes you as a podcaster, you can get into this micromanagement aspect. My job is to do what we are doing right now. Put me on the couch, give me any topic, I will find a way to navigate it and spark a conversation.
Yeah.
But what's happening on the desk right now, that will look like physics to me. It's going to look like astronomics. I cannot do it. It's not my portion. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just like telling Maj, like, you just do your thing. I can give you guidelines, but you have creative carte blanche, and that's how we feed into each other. And then we had Marcus, of course, which was just like vibes. Like Marcus is like my big bro. I think like Marcus is like what me and you have.
Oh, okay.
Like he knows when to be my supporter, when to be my cheerleader, when to be my manager, when to be my producer. He's like, he wears different thinking hats in terms of our friendship, and I believe we have the same thing. So that was absolutely exceptional. And then we had, I believe the next episode was with Tola, and that was,
Oh, come on now, Yvette. Come on now. We're all good.
That was a blessing. Mm. Because like I remember we were in talks to do the podcast, and then of course having been fired, and I had to be frugal, and of course you're also running a business. You had already given me so much grace. I couldn't take up more because I don't want to live with that guilt. And then I sat down with him and he was like, why are you being hesitant to set the date for us to actually do the podcast? And then I explained the situation to him, and he was like, no, I see what you're doing. You're living your truth, and we won't let you give up now. He's like, how can we support? And he just said, I'm sponsoring the next 3 episodes. And I called you immediately.
Yes, I remember.
I'm like, Zed, send the link.
I remember, yeah.
And man, Chop House, Tola, mad shout out to you. You're a real G. You're a real G. And I know this is just the beginning. As the podcast office grows, as we grow, you will grow, because you held my hand when I least expected it, and I'm forever grateful.
No, it's a very, very nice journey to look back on.
Yeah.
Especially from how we started, the hurdles, and then we went to the mid. And then we had a very, very, very nice, consistent 4 episodes, day in, day out.
popping, reels,
Yes.
everything. Like whenever I see new message from Zayad on my phone, I get excited. Especially the ones that like check email. I'm just like, or the ones that say sent. I'm just like, ooh, magic is in my inbox.
Yes.
It just gives me so much joy. Before I mess this up, let me just confirm if I've forgotten anyone in the lineup. Oh God, that made me emotional. And then there was Farai, House of Llanos, and for him, his episode was just what I needed to hear, because he has just crossed over the mountain onto the other side of what success looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm just building right now. So for me to sit down with him and have therapy, there's an ongoing joke amongst my friends right now. It's like, oh, you haven't heard of Y.K.T.V? Oh, her podcast is amazing. But let me warn you, she makes men cry.
Y.K.T.V. That's the name.
I make men cry. You know the vibe.
You know the vibe. That's it.
So the episode with Toxic was just like fuel, like just like Yvette keep going, his hurdles, his challenges, how he's overcome them, understanding the essence of having a team. And then after that, we had the episode with Winnie. And that was, the feedback on that episode has been insane. There's a client that I mentioned in that episode that I used to manage in my previous role, the one that I got fired from. And I just sent her the clip of where I mentioned their name, and they're going to offer free mammograms until 30th November. Like, we're here to support anybody. So, Winnie, you started a movement.
Yep.
And your story is mad inspiring. Like, there's no if, buts, or ors. You are a warrior. I call you Winnie the Warrior for a reason. So thank you so much for honoring the podcast office and Y.K.T.V to share your journey and your beautiful story.
100%.
And now here we are.
Here we are. At episode big 10.
Oh my God, it's a big one. Oh, I have to remember one more. I forgot. My mind is going crazy. Yes, Flair by Winnie, the makeup artist.
Oh, yes.
Oh, she is, I call her a silent storm. She's a silent storm because when I reached out to her, I had reached out, and I have to say this, and probably people are going to cancel me, but allow me to speak my truth. I've been hearing the grapevine that a lot of you people are saying that I'm interviewing more Nigerians than other nationalities. The reason is these are the people that respond to me immediately and commit without a shred of doubt. I've sent so many proposals to Kenyans asking them to come. Oh, your audience is too small. Oh, you only have 684 subscribers. Grow your channel a little bit before I grow. I have 30,000 followers. I need a bigger audience. Oh, I'll speak to my manager. But there's no Nigerian that I've reached out to and they've not responded to me with nothing but love. So shout out to the Green, White and Green team. Like, thank you very much for understanding my ministry and supporting me. Flair by Winnie, she was just like, I called her and I told her, and she was like, what questions are you going to ask me? I'm very shy, and she's very soft-spoken. And I was like, Winnie, I don't give questions. I just flow. Like, let's just go with the flow. We'll be good. And then she said something, and she's like, if you're going to record the podcast, I'm a makeup artist. I can't have you looking somehow when you're having a podcast with a makeup artist. So she came over to my place, and then we did our makeup, and then we came together, and that allowed us just to break more ice further.
Yeah.
Like, we know of each other, but we don't hang out a lot.
Yeah.
So that in itself, because of this podcast, was able to create a sisterhood. And now we compare notes and we encourage each other a lot because we are both in the creative space. And now we are working towards self-employment, which is my plan right now. And then now I'm sitting here with Zayat.
Yep.
And we're
There you
just
have it.
catching up.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a very, very nice long journey. I think we both started at a small position, and
Yeah.
I feel like we're both actually growing, like at the same rate, same speed.
No, you're going slightly faster than me, but I love it because it gives me hope.
a tiny bit. It's just the hunger in me that doesn't stop.
It's insatiable. Nice.
So I just keep going, and There you have it, the podcast office.
Nice. So, what would you say if you were looking to speak to somebody who's wanting to start a podcast? What advice would you give them? Like, what are some of the necessary ingredients to get it right?
Necessary, especially in a podcast, I would really recommend. Just being your true self. Because the minute you try to put a fake character on, the minute it becomes bad.
Correct.
Yes, and if you put up a fake show on and you try to act someone like you're not, and you act like you're way bigger than you really are, then it starts to flop. And
Correct.
if you're just your true self and you're doing something that you really do enjoy doing, something you believe in, something that you know is what you truly think about, then you're gonna be good.
And trust me, there's enough space for all birds to fly in the sky. Honestly,
Especially
speaking.
in the podcasting field.
Especially now in Dubai. Like, I am longing. I haven't seen any like sport related podcasts. I actually need to speak to Marcus and his crew.
Yeah.
Marcus, Uzi, Tola. You guys need to start like a soccer, something sporty for the guys,
Yeah.
because I feel like, and I don't mean to be biased, I feel like there's a massive concentration on success podcasts. But those are people that have already made it.
Yeah.
The CEOs, the MDs, the startup founders, blah, blah, blah. Those are people that have already made it. I want to talk to people that are making it now, are grinding now, how they're failing forward, what they're learning. I want to talk to people like me that I can resonate with and have conversations with. And since I asked you the question of what I feel the fundamental ingredient is, I think you've summed it up perfectly. But if I came up with a model,
Let's hear it.
exclusive from the podcast office by Y.K.T.V. Professor Amaka in the building. So using the analogy of a monarch, right? I came up with actually, I didn't come up with it. I just spiced it up. I salt bayed it a little bit.
Yeah, tiny bit.
So I call it the 4C model of podcasting. And the first one is content, which envisages what you've said about being your true authentic self. The second one is collaboration. And I mean collaboration from the guests that you have, and also working with someone who can help you build your dream. You can't be good at everything. You can be good at talking, but you're bad at editing. That's why the podcast office comes through for me like the flu. You know what I mean? So collaborating from the production perspective and also from how you interview your guests is very important.
Yeah.
And then I would say community. Community is sharing your content online, replying to those comments on the platforms where you upload your podcasts, engaging with your community, the people who resonate with your thoughts across social media. You have to.
Yeah.
It might get daunting at some point. You're like, oh, I have to reply all 70 messages. But that's how you build connection with the people who value the content that you share. So that is a very, very important part of this journey. And last but not least, commitment, which is where I had Zayad tell me, like, Yvette, time is money. You can't be showing up late.
Yeah, that's it.
And he literally like gave me a whooping and it's like, you have to be on time. Like, when this blows up and big brands are approaching you, are you going to be showing up late? And I was like, God damn, Zayad, thank you for speaking into my life. And also, okay, fine, I've heard.
Yeah. You know it, yeah.
It was just like, you hit me with the realness, and haven't I improved on my time?
Yes, you have.
I have. And even with my guests now, I schedule them 30 minutes before they're actually supposed to arrive so that they arrive on time.
Exactly.
Sorry, I just leaked that out there, but yes.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. And so I would say content is king, collaboration is queen, community is the palace, and commitment is the law. Those are the 4 ingredients for me when it comes to podcasting.
Yeah. We're on the same page. It's the small stuff that kind of keep you on the right path, keep you growing. Because the minute I think it's the minute that you feel like, okay, you're on social media now, you're way bigger than you are, that's the minute you start falling.
The beginning of the downfall.
Yeah.
True.
So just stay humble, stay who you are, stay consistent.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really work on is for, like, as an example, when a new client comes in for the podcast office, I I tell them the main key is motivation. And that's what we ensure here at the podcast office. We want to have everything so smooth that you have no headache so that you can keep coming back.
And trust me, with that being said, the podcast office can move heaven and the skies for you. But there's one aspect that can completely have you deranged and discouraged. And that is when you focus too much on the numbers. Don't focus on the numbers.
That's very true.
Don't focus on the numbers. Just keep going. Just keep going. You know how when you're lost in a city that you're visiting for the first time and you're asking everyone for direction, they're like, oh, it's just in the corner. It's just in the corner. You really don't know where you're going, but you just keep going.
Yeah.
And the more you keep going, you realize you're getting closer to your destination. Just move. That's basically all I can say. Don't look at the numbers, because then you build such a nice dream. The more you do it, the more you grow. So just go with the flow. Yeah.
And we keep going.
And we keep going. Oh my God. Like, this is so nostalgic.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to watch this episode like 2 years from now. And like, say, look at us 2 years ago.
That's
and
true.
look at us now having 6 different sets.
Yes, hopefully, inshallah.
It's going to be amazing. And I was planning to take a break just a little bit to go back to the drawing board and like see what I can change and adjust, because this is probably going to be the last episode for season 1. But I might have a bonus episode next week. I have a very interesting guest that I'm trying to line up. And because from November, December, a lot of people start traveling for the holidays. I want to lock it in now. So I might just give you a bonus episode before we take a break. As you're aware, I mentioned I'm currently not employed. So I'm also going to be taking a break just to call myself for a meeting to ask myself what next. I am turning a year older next month. So in case any of you want to buy me nice gifts, you can support me through paying for an episode at the podcast office. Just DM us and Zayad will send you the payment link.
You know it. You know it.
That is the best gift that you can give me, like just, fuel my fire. So if you're feeling generous and you want to support, regardless of the amount, you don't have to, pay the full amount for an episode. Just a token of appreciation for what we're doing here will go a long way, because there is no me without you. And I appreciate the love and the support so far. Yeah.
And we keep moving.
And we keep moving.
That's it. Season 2.
Loading. So much coming up. Oh
Yeah.
my God. You guys are not ready.
There.
So much coming up in season 2. Like
I don't think anyone was ready for season 1. So just imagine season 2.
courtesy of the podcast office.
You know it.
All right, guys, that's it for today. It's been nothing short of amazing. I will see you on the next time. Until then, stay true, stay you. Y.K.T.V in the building. Signing out. You know the vibes.